Good morning, sports exercise juniors. I apologize for not being in class today. I wanted to make sure that you got your lecture, so make sure you have a set of headphones in and you'll be starting and stopping for the first few minutes of class today. So looking at lesson 3 for components of fitness. Very first thing I would like for you to do is, let's see if we can remember what we learned last class. So be sure with a partner, or maybe a couple of people, spend no more than 5 minutes. Time yourself with your partner on what is a health-related fitness, maybe how do you define it, what is a skill or performance-related fitness, how do you define that, what are all the components, and name off as many tests as you possibly can without looking at your notes. All right, so pause the video here, and then you can start working for about 5 minutes or so. Please do time yourself. Okay, we're going to continue on once this 5 minutes. I hope that was a helpful time for you to review. Let's move on. So we're going to continue our conversation about how we assess each of the components of fitness. Specifically, we're going to look at evaluating today a couple of the fitness components. So as we remember from last class period, these are the health-related fitness tools. So these are all here. I think we mentioned all of these our last class period, and you researched the protocols. We didn't necessarily go over all of them, but please be familiar. You can look at the discussion board in Schoology if you were not here for those, or you need a refresher. Same thing for our performance-related fitness components. These are all here as well. So I want to start off with a couple of questions here. And these are sample questions from IB exams. So let's take a moment to see if you can define a health-related fitness. So this is worth 1 point. And we're really focusing on defining, just writing a statement, maybe 1 or 2 sentences about this term right here, health-related fitness. You might want to just use a scratch piece of paper and jot something down. I'll give you a few moments here if you want to pause the video. Okay, so what did you write? There's lots of different things you could have written. I wanted to show you what you can write. Now, you're not going to have this word for word, but these are things that you should consider when you write your definition. So you'll notice here that it says in the answer, components which are vital to ensure that an individual can meet the physical and physiological demands of an activity without excessive fatigue. So we had mentioned anything that uses physiology to do everyday living, meet the everyday demands of normal existence, if you will. So this little abbreviation here is or words to that effect, or words to that effect. So this is, I'm not asking you to write this word for word. I'm asking you to get the essence of what this is saying and write your own definition. Okay? You could have definitely told us about or written about any of the health-related fitness components, just listing them off as examples of health-related fitness. But this is the essence of what we should know, okay? If you had listed 2 of these, even 3 or 4, or all 5 of them, then you would be good. Just make sure you don't add any of the skill-related ones, because that's not what the definition requires. Let's move on to the next question. Okay, which of the following is a performance-related or skill-related fitness component? Take a moment to answer in your brain. You want to write this down. Think about what you know. So what works here? Remember, we're looking at skill-related fitness components. Well, if we remember our acronyms, make sure you use the acronyms that we learned. The best answer here is C, reaction time, right? The ABCs and the PRS. Let's move on to another question. Take a moment to read this question. I'll let you pause the video. So in this question, you have to be careful. It's a very tricky question. This is a definition of one of these, right? It's a word-for-word definition. The term force, we automatically want to assume is related to power, and we can't do that. Power is comprised of 2 things, strength and speed. So we're only looking at force. So here, the best answer is going to be muscular strength. Let's move on to our next question. Take a moment to read this question and answer it. You can pause the video. Okay, what did you answer here? That's right, A is the best answer. Very good, we just talked about that. Our next question. Take a moment to pause the video. Now, think about what you know here. We're talking about body composition. Well, the flexed arm hang, that's looking at muscular endurance, right? The hand grip dynamometer, that's going to be looking at strength. The Cooper's 12-minute run is looking at, yes, cardiovascular or cardiorespiratory or aerobic capacity. That leaves this term here, anthropometry. Well, this is a new term for you all, but you know what it is. Anthropometry is the skin caliper test. It's where you pinch the skin with a little plastic caliper in various different sites, and then you compile the data. All right, this is a good question. Take a moment to pause the video. All right, what are we doing for this one? Which is a reliable and valid test of a basketball player's leg power? Again, go with what you know. Our best answer here is very good, D. Now, this is something that I want you to try on your own try with a partner or maybe even two partners. The term evaluate means that you want to give us a very detailed explanation of what the fitness test is and then provide strengths and limitations and or weaknesses. So there are 3 different tests used to assess body composition. Select any of the 2 and jot down the definition of what that is or a description of what that test is. Then go on and provide strengths and limitations. This is going to take you a good 5 minutes or so. So pause the video, time yourself with a partner, and see if you can jot down some notes. These are the answers that are possible. There's lots of things that you could have written, and it was worth 6 points. The best way to answer the question is to do the following. Provide a definition, just like we have here for BMI, what it is. Then list the strengths, maybe 1 or 2 strengths, and then list the limitations, 1 or 2. Okay. And same thing for anthropometry, if that's what you use. These are the skin fold calipers. Take a moment to read what it is, what the strengths are, and what the limitations are. And our third option is underwater weighing. This is what it is, the strengths, and the limitations. Take a moment to go back and forth in the video to read and really understand the evaluation of body composition testing. It's really important that you take the time to do that because we want to use this as a learning tool. And as we go further, these are important notes to have in preparation for exams. Great. I hope that was helpful for you to see what some of the IB exams look like. Continue to prepare as we prepare for our exam on 6.2 and 6.3, Study Design and Components of Fitness, next week, Wednesday. I wanted to show you a resource for protocol and evaluation norms for various different fitness tests. So this is a live link in the PowerPoint. Feel free to click it. So Top End Sports gives you tons of different testing. So as you start to develop ideas on what you may want to test, you can actually come here and get good idea or good baseline tests. As you can see here, there are 300 different fitness tests. And they're all categorized as well. So this is all the tests in alphabetical order. There's tons and tons. And it's a great resource to look at. So it's www.topendsports.com. keep this in your bookmarks somewhere, and you'll learn more about it. We were talking about the anthropometry, the skin fold measurement test. Well, this is where you can look it up and see how it's done. So you'll notice what the aim is, what the equipment is, the procedure, which sites we have to do the skin fold test, like on our body, and then how we actually look at the results and what it means. And this is an example of what the skin fold caliper test is. So it's a really, really great resource. And these are all valid tests. Some are better than others, but they're all good for what you want to do. Let's move on to today's activity. We're going to start off with our standing stork test. This will take approximately 15 minutes. So partner up with somebody. This is just a sample of how you do it. Select who the participant is. The participant will remove their shoes, place both hands on their hips, position the non-supporting foot against the supporting leg, kind of like the tree pose in yoga. Once you get that, in order for you to start counting time, you raise the heel on the supporting leg, and you hold it as long as you possibly can. It doesn't have to be too far, it just has to be off the floor. Monitors. Set the timer to 1 minute and allow your participant to practice each leg for 1 minute. Then you're going to do this test 3 times. You will count how many seconds they are on the ball of their foot with their heel off, and you will stop the timer when their hands come off their hips, or their leg swivels, like rotates, or they hop. If they're shaking, don't worry about it. If their non-supporting leg loses contact with the knee of the supporting leg, or their heel touches the ground, that's when you stop time. This is the protocol. Be very careful to follow the protocol. You have 15 minutes to do 1 practice minute on each leg and 3 trials. Take the best trial time. When you're finished, move on in the video. So this is what we're looking at. I hope that was fun. This is a really interesting evaluation. Remember, you took the best of 3, and if you timed it, then if you're above 50 seconds, you would be excellent. In between 40 and 50, good. 25 to 39, average. Fair for 10 to 24, and poor for less than 10 seconds. Let's move on to our next one. You'll have 15 minutes to complete this assignment as well. This is the sit-up test. So you will lay flat on the floor, bend your knees at 90 degrees, and your monitor will anchor your ankles so they don't raise up. Your arms will be crossed over your chest, and you'll raise up using your core. 1 curl, 1 sit-up, is when you move from floor to vertical and back to floor. That will be a count of 1. Move up to vertical and back down, that's a count of 2. If you do not do any of these things, or you remove your crossed arms over your chest, then you will stop. Okay, it won't count. You'll continue your time for 1 minute, but it won't count. We are going to do the President's Challenge. So the President's Challenge is timed at 1 minute, and you do the best you possibly can. Use no more than 15 minutes. So take a look at the clock right now, and let's see how you do. Move on in the video when you're done so you can see how well you did. Here are the results. So if you are male versus female, take a look and see how many you got in 60 seconds. This is the norm for 60 seconds. And let's see where you fall. I hope this was an informative lesson for you. We will continue more with our unit when I return. I hope you have a great afternoon, and I hope you learned something new today.